Okay. Some district attorneys and district attorneys' offices seem to believe that stringent prosecution is the only deterrent to child abuse. Is that true?
I don't feel that it is, Jay. I think that there are ample tools for the prosecutor to follow the legislative intent, keeping the family together and keeping in mind the safety of the child. I feel that the family is important, the child is important, and that we should work in therapeutic ways rather than prosecute the offender, because I don't think it does too much good to throw him in the slammer, so to speak.
All this has been after the fact, so to speak, after a child abuse case has been reported to you and investigated.
Yes.
How about for non-reporting? Should the sanctions for non-reporting be strengthened or what?
Our present laws have no sanctions. However, there have been civil suits as a result of non-reporting. I feel that it would be a deterrent if there were some civil liability sanctions built in, but beyond civil sanctions, I would say no. Don't punish someone criminally for not reporting, because I feel that would discourage reporting, and I think the civil sanctions, if there, would lead to further reporting.
Well, would you advocate civil sanctions or simply a greater community involvement and a greater awareness on the part of doctors, social workers, teachers, etc., on the dangers of child abuse?
We can't have a community panacea at any time. We hope for the best relationship between agencies, but I do feel that the civil sanctions would assist if the community doesn't come through. And that's a question mark.
Okay. Gare, it looks like.
Yes. May I smoke?
Sure. Ann, could you describe a child abuse investigative unit and how it should work?
Yes. We've set up a system that we think works very well. We have a 24-hour paging system, for instance, so that there is a team of workers who are available any time of day or night for any report of suspected or alleged child abuse or neglect. When a report comes in, if it's felt that the child needs placement, a law enforcement agent is involved to remove the child because this is mandated by law. A plan is developed jointly as to whether it's better to leave the child in the home, whether to try to put a homemaker in the home at that time, or whether or not to put the child in placement for his own safety. The Colorado Code mandates that protection of children should be our chief requirement, and then secondarily we should strive to keep families together whenever possible, and we work under that mandate very carefully. If a child is in fact put in placement, then we can bring into force a whole battery of services. We must, again by law, report to the courts that we do have custody of the child, what our plans are for the child, why we removed the child. This is done in juvenile court. We have to have the court's permission to continue to keep a child in custody, and we also have to explain to the court exactly what our plans for the child and for the family are. Regular reports must be made back to the court in terms of the progress of rehabilitative services and therapy with the family. At any time, the court may ask us for additional information, may order psychological evaluations, and so on. In this state, too, the court appoints for every child who has been abused or neglected a guardian ad litem, and this attorney is to represent the child's interest only, not the department's interests, not the family's interests, but represents the child's interest. We think this is a very important step forward. Most of our children in El Paso County, and we do have a high reporting rate because we think the community has become aware of the problem very well, but I would say the great majority of children are able to be returned to their homes, and we're very proud of that.
Okay, yeah. I read all those.
Well, I hope they get the...
Some prosecutors seem to believe that stringent prosecution of child abuse cases is the only deterrent to that crime. Does your office believe that's true?
No, our philosophy.
What sort of sanctions, if any, should be imposed for failure to report child abuse cases? Would such sanctions be the best way to encourage community support in reporting, or would an educational program or some other vehicle be the best manner? Mrs. Topper, describe a child abuse investigative unit and how it should work and what it should accomplish. Okay, the purpose primarily is to see what we can do to bring about a greater interest in the prevention and treatment of child abuse in Alabama. It's